Hi there. This screencast will show some quick analysis related to an Apache weblog file and will feature Kirix Strata's Apache log import extension. A related blog entry has been posted at kirix.com/stratablog on June 23, 2008. So each day, our Apache web server spits out a new weblog that shows the daily activity of our website. Recently, I saw that one of these log files was about 10 times larger than a typical log file. So for this video, we're going to investigate why this happened. To do this, we first need to import the log. We'll open up the Apache weblog extension that can be found in the Kirix online extension library, and then we locate the file we need to import. Select it, choose the output name, and then we click Run to begin the import. Apache logs are space delimited and have some funky formatting, so this simple extension deals with these complexities, and when it's done, it presents you with a nice clean table that you can begin working with. Okay, so here's the table we just imported, and we see that it has right around 114,000 records. It has your standard log items, the IP address of the visitor, the date and the time that they visited, the status of the hit, such as whether it was a valid or a redirect or an error, the size of the file that was served up, the URL that was visited, the refer, if any, and then the agent, which shows if, say, a visitor used Internet Explorer or Firefox to visit the site. Alright, so we're trying to find out why the activity on this day is much more pronounced than on a normal day. What we want to do first is summarize the table to see if there are any specific IP addresses that are giving us trouble. And to do this, I'll pop open our grouping tool and we'll group together all the unique IP addresses, and then I'll sum up the total file size for each group based on the number of bytes, and then I'll add a count field to tell me how many times they appeared per group. And in the summary table, we'll go ahead and sort it based on the number of bytes. And we see that, in fact, it does appear that we have two troublemakers here. Both are significantly larger in size than the other visitors. Let's actually do that again. But in addition to the IP address, we'll also group on the status code to see if these are legitimate hits or errors. Apache provides status codes like 200 for a valid request or 404 for an invalid request. So we'll get our summary table and we'll go ahead and sort it. Now we see that our two troublesome IP addresses are still at the top, but one of them is made up almost entirely of 404 error codes. So given the number of hits, this is probably a web robot having problems spidering our site. So let's take a peek at the IP addresses here and see if these give us any clues. We'll just pop open a whois lookup from the web and paste in that first IP address, and we see Server Beach Hosting, which is actually where Kirix's web server is hosted. So it's actually our own server's activity that's filling up half our log. So let's go back to the original table and see what's going on. I'll go ahead and do a quick filter on the IP address so we only see pertinent records. And now we find that there's a huge string of not found URLs. This makes complete sense because for each of those 404 error codes caused by that spider, our server was helpfully serving up a not found page, effectively doubling the amount of work the server had to do. So let's take a look at the other IP address causing all these errors. For this one, we'll actually create a slightly more complex filter on the IP address and the 404 error code. We're using the contains function to filter on the IP address and on the 404 status code, so we only look at the invalid hits. And as expected, we see the IP address and the error codes. Now let's take a closer look at the URLs being searched for. These are obviously all non-existent URLs. But the strange thing is that it appears that the bot was just appending file names one after another. Fileadmin \JS is repeated once, twice, 3 times, etc. all over this file, causing a tremendous number of hits to non-existent URLs. I'm going to have our web administrator investigate what's going on here, but I'll make a quick copy of this filtered set for my own records first and save it locally in my Strata project. And finally, I'm going to save a copy of this file externally as a CSV file for our web guy to look into. So that's just a really quick look at checking out a problem in your weblogs using Strata and the Apache weblog import extension. So go ahead and give both Strata and this extension a try and let us know what you think. Thanks.